Question 3b is where you are first introduced to the interpretations. Now, having completed question 3a, you should already be aware that the debate will be similar with the interpretation. So as soon as you do 3a, you will already know the big debate of section B. So as we saw in section of question 3a, we know that the debate is surrounding Nazi policies towards women. This question then requires you to read two different interpretations. So this is the skill of AO4, understanding different interpretations. Just remember, interpretation is simply a view of the past. Now, you don't need to provide any judgment on this. All you need to do is simply spot the difference. There are going to be two interpretations that have two differing views. Your job in this question is to identify what those differing views are. Now, you will remember that your certain teacher for history has been quite clear and told you that you do not need to know the provenance of this interpretation. That is completely useless to you. So don't worry about where the book is from, where the interpretation is from, who wrote it, or when it's from. That is completely irrelevant information. The only thing you need to concentrate on and consider is what's in the box. And that I need to stress that very, very carefully. So, how do you answer the question then? Well, it's quite straightforward, and it is only worth 4 marks. So you'd only be spending around a maximum of 5 minutes on this question. You need to read the interpretation carefully, because you will need it later as well in the other 2 questions. So you read the interpretation, and from that you identify what the main view of the interpretation is. So what's the main thing that this interpretation argues about the Nazi policies towards women? What's the main argument? So you would just say the main view, just go down, sorry, one sec. So you would say the main view of interpretation 1 is, and then whatever the main view is, whatever the main argument is. The next thing you do there is you'd simply then provide a quote. So you just say, then, for example, it states, and provide whatever the quote is. Next thing you would do then, so the main view interpretation 1 is, and then for example states, and then the next thing you do is then provide some comparative language. The other interpretation is going to have a completely different view. You need to show that you are analyzing here, so you might just say, however, interpretation 2 argues whatever the argument happens to be, what's the main view, and then again, for example, you then provide your quote. And that's all you do. That's how you answer that question.